6 events are down in the race class. Well, 6 cups, I should say. And now it's time for us to move on to Cup 7, the Rural Racing Cup. Previously, we were in the city areas, but now we are heading to the countryside areas, mostly. As we begin at Desert Oil Field, a wild canyon ride during a serious heatwave. An abandoned oil facility and broken bridge are the main sights here. Again, I still haven't won here. I would honestly say this probably is one of my toughest tracks to race on. I thought about putting upgrades on, but I think since I did pretty well previously, I wouldn't think upgrades are needed just yet. At least not compared to the upgrades I already have. Plus, since this thing is all-wheel drive, it should technically give me a better shot of winning anyway. I really don't like the way this track is laid out. I mean, the surroundings are just asking to kill you. This place is almost murder, with how much debris there is on the racing surface. It's almost like it's literally trying to kill you. Even when you ask it not to, it just feels like it wants to kill you. I mean, the rocks and debris that you see around here, it's almost undeniable that they just want your ass assassinated. That's just the sort of crippling reality that you have to deal with. It's honestly like you're trying to run with a crooked leg. You want to try and run the way you normally would, but yet, because your leg is essentially crooked, or in other words, broken, you know you can't run on both legs. You can run on one, but you can't run on both. That's kind of the best description I can give to describe this place. It pretty much is like you're trying to just run on a crooked leg. And that's basically what I think this place is. Especially when the debris fields just get scattered the way they do. It really does just want your ass assassinated, and not just because of the rocks. Yeah, there is no way I was getting my car out of there. I would have rather fallen off the bridge than actually try getting it moving again. But yeah, this really is the one track in this game that I feel like wants your ass assassinated. Because that's just how much debris there is on the racing surface. It's almost evil in a way. I didn't say it was evil. I just meant in some cases it felt evil. Probably doesn't help to say that we're racing on sand as well, which technically is one of the priority factors. Not to say there's anything wrong with the racing surface, it's just the bits and pieces that you get scattered around this joint that I think are the main problem. And also the fact that you cannot afford to go too deep into some of these corners. Although then again, I think that's more of a natural feature, quite honestly. But right now, I'm running okay, as I now have the lead here for the first time, and I've just blown it. or nearly blown it. Sophia basically is the master of this joint. She basically is the queen of Desert Oil Field, because that's just how good she runs around here. This is definitely her sort of track, because that's just how hooked up her car really is. And she wrecks. That now gives me the lead. Jack also wrecks. And hopefully I can actually manage to hold on for the win this time. Or at least I would hope for that. As long as the rocks do not try to assassinate me again. And over the line, almost hitting top speed in the process, and I went way out of bounds as I crossed the line. But either way, I win over Sophia and Sally. Jack 4th, Katie 5th, Ray 6th, Jason 7th, and Frank Malkov completes the running order, as it was Katie who set the fastest lap. So, finally, I get to win on Desert Oil Field. The one place I hadn't won on until I actually got the Lentus. And all I needed to do was just keep my car out of trouble as much as possible. 4 slams and 2 power hits. And no further rewards, but at least I managed to beat the queen of Desert Oil Field. That being Sophia. So these are your results so far. Myself first, Sophia second, and Sally third. Now, let's move on to River Bay Circuit 1. A circuit on the outskirts of a large city in a dense forest setting. So we're technically just out of town with this. I think it's a lot like the Formula E New York circuit in a way, because technically that is stationed just on the outskirts of New York. That's kind of what that description reminds me of. The reason why I also know the Formula E circuit in New York is because, well, I drove on it once in a mobile racing game I used to play. But I don't do it anymore because, well, the time consuming, well, these days for me, it's just too much mentally to deal with, because I have other priorities now, and I can assure you they are more important than what this is. And in spite of me cutting the corner, it does help me to rejoin in the lead. Oh, it says Decorah, not Dacia. Decorah is what it says. I think I just saw, yeah, that said Zodion. That would be a really impressive real name for a company if anyone thought about that. Although then again, because this is the FlatOut series, you kind of do need to come up with fake sponsor names that sound cool. I think they did that really well with this game. Yeah, that says, I think it's pronounced Decura. But yeah, these are definitely fictitious brands. If I ever saw them in real life. They're not the sorts of brands that would really protrude themselves in real life. But anyway, I am up at the front, going past the billboards and putting some pace into my car and almost wrecking, but I do manage to set a new lap record of a 1 minute 8.17. And right now, our form is going pretty well, which at this time is precisely what I wanted to do. So, I lead again in the Lentus, and Sophia is second, this time with Katie in third, as Sally has now been dropped back to reality. Well, it was nice to see her on the podium while it lasted. And heading over a jump and setting a new best lap time with Satan's number, literally. And I was a second off the best overall lap time, which was set by Sally. So I win, with my best lap being a 1 minute 0.0 Satan. Sophia second, with Raid this time third, ahead of Katie and Sally. Frank sixth, Jason seventh, and Jack finishes eighth, as it was Sally who set the fastest lap. Not bad. Anyway, let's move on. So that's now 2 races down, and we still have another 2 to go. So another 400 credits for 4 slams, and no top driver rewards. However, that's fine, because I still keep winning. So we have 2 ties. One is for 4th, and the other one is for 7th. Sally, after recovering to 5th, manages to still keep a hold of 3rd. But it looks as though at this point it's a battle between myself and Sophia, as we now head to City Central 3. This route takes you amongst narrow residential blocks, through a gigantic mall, and onto the high-speed highway. Here we are again at City Central 3, and this is probably one of my better tracks. Not one of my best ones, but definitely one of my better ones. Unless this is the City Central, I think it is. Then in which case it probably is one of my best tracks. Come on, get off. Okay. I successfully managed to get off, and also cause a fair share of chaos in the process, as I detached myself from the median. Two wins out of 2 to me so far. Jason currently leads. This is definitely one of my best tracks. If you've seen my results up to this point, then you will know they're pretty solid. As I go round the inside of Sally, and I take over the lead. and running over bits of debris and going into the fence. Not really anything I could do there. That was just kind of happening. And I get a power hit on Jason, and I'm on the median again. But I do manage to get off it, as I did before. I successfully detach myself from the median. If I wasn't driving this car right now, I would have a bit more damage than what I currently do. But because this thing is durable, that's why it's still running. And why it doesn't have as much damage as you might think it would at this stage. And I get a slam on Sally. A lot of this exterior furniture has already been brought down, either by Jack or Sally. Most likely Jack, because he's been leading us for most of this race. And he wrecks on the outside, which gives the lead back to me. And now I just have to wait and see what happens next. Can I actually get above 150 in this thing? No, I cannot. Although I can certainly say it was worth a try. It was worth the shot to try. Even then if I wasn't going to succeed in the end. Oh, I'm slipping. Okay. It's alright, it's fine. I have not lost yet. And there we go. 3 out of 3. For me and the Lantus. And also the fastest lap by 5 seconds. Yeah, this is definitely a track that benefits the player, I'm sure it is. You know what? Yes, I'm getting this replay. Because of how good that run felt. Yeah, it's actually really hard to get yourself detached from that median without wrecking yourself. That's actually really hard to do. But I somehow managed to do it and sustained circumstantial damage at best. Which in all honesty is a good thing. Also, I did actually sweep the top driver stats here one time. In the Mad Rush, I did actually sweep the top driver stats one time. That was actually something I did here at City Central 3, and I actually thought that was pretty cool. Because it showed me that it managed to work. And this time Katie got on the brakes. Okay, I think that's enough footage for a thumbnail. Those are your results. Now let's move on to the final race of the Rural Racing Cup. So 3 out of 3 wins to me, City Central 3 once again proves to be one of my best tracks. Definitely a track that benefits the player more than the AI. 3 slams and 1 power hit, and I get the rewards for fastest lap and also bulldozer. I did actually sweep the top driver rewards one time here at City Central 3. In other words, I basically caused the most damage and I got basically all the rewards for it. I actually cleaned out those awards. Anyway. So, these are your standings. The first place result is almost clinched, but I still need to finish within 6 points of Sophia in order to clinch it, because the results between first and second are so close. Ray now moves up to third, ahead of Sally, so most of these results are almost decided, but the other ones, well, half the results are basically decided, but the other ones, we'll wait and see. So we still have a battle for third between Sally and Ray. And now we are back at Timberlands 2, starting near Mount Dreadmist. The road runs past the local car part shop and eventually makes its way through the lumber yards in this area. I think this is going to be another 4-lap sprint, like it was before. Well, here we go. Won 3 out of 4 of these. I think it's fair to say I did make a good choice by choosing the Lantus. May not have been the cheapest option, but I can definitely say for tracks like these, it did prove to be the most useful option. And I am glad to say it does give me more control than what I would have had in one of my other 2 race cars. And I say that because I have to consider the classes. So Jason leads, I now pass him for the lead. Ironically a clean pass as well, and minimal damage taken on my muscle car slash pickup truck at this point. And this time this race is 5 laps long. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone racks out before the end of this, if it's going to be 5 laps. Because it means we've got more time for the AI to potentially damage one of their opponents out. As I set the fastest lap with a 39.66. Okay. I almost go and faceplant myself in the tree, but thankfully that does not prove to be the case. Still got another 2 laps to make up for my mistakes. And I slam into the wall. And Jason still leads. Looks like it is going to be 3 out of 4 the way things are currently going. Sorry. Yeah, 3 out of 4. I keep forgetting this is a 4-race championship, not a 5-race championship. Still gotta make sure I don't drop too much time at this point. And right now, I really gotta make sure I don't crash myself, and that's precisely what happens. Also, is one of us a lap down? I think one of us just might be. Well, Sally now moves up to third, and Jason is still leading, so yep, KT is a lapped car officially. I think that's only the second time that's happened in this game. And Sally's out, so that basically means Ray is going to take third place in the standings. Wherever he's running at the moment, I think. So Jason will win, but I will take home a well-deserved P2. So 3 out of 4 again. Not quite the sweep, but I still managed to come away with the fastest lap of the race. And Sally racked out right before the end. I think if I recall correctly, Ray was technically third heading into this round. I think he might just come away with third, if I did my calculations the right way, because I don't think anyone was really close enough to challenge him aside from Sally. I think that's right, unless it was KT. But either way, 3 slams, 1 power hit, and 1 super flip. And I get the bulldozer reward. And it was Sally who set the fastest lap before she wrecked. Ray gets the best wrecker as well as the Blastmaster awards. Okay, that's fine. And yep, it's official. Sally was 4th heading into this round, and she winds up finishing 6th. So 3 out of 4 wins to me. Sophia finishes P2 with 29. Then Ray manages to nab 3rd place as a result of him finishing 3rd in the middle 2 races with 18. Jack finishes P4 with 17. Jason was last for most of this, but then as a result of him winning, he comes home 5th. Sally drops to 6th, with KT finishing 7th, and she did also finish, ironically, 1 lap down, even though she did make it to the finish. But she was technically a lapped car anyway, so whatever. And Frank finishes last, because he had worse results than KT. Anyway, Rural Racing Cup is done, and it's another easy win to me, consistency wise. So once again, 3 golds and 1 silver, and 5,000 credits for winning. Nice. And we've now unlocked the Tri-Loop Special. I don't know what these are, but I am gonna find out soon enough. So, we have just 2 events to go now, and then afterwards we can pretty much get through the special events. So our next one is the Racing Sprint Cup, and then to end off, we have the Special Racing Fields Cup. So, next up, Racing Sprint Cup. Stay tuned for the next episode of FlatOut 2.